It's Byron Talks. Like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. We're going to talk about it today. Who is qualified to talk about dating? Who's qualified? Now, in my introduction, I'll say I asked this question because a lot of people criticize every person, regardless of their relationship status or what's going on with them. There's a criticism and a knock that's placed against that person. Let's give you some examples. You look at Kevin Samuels, famous guy, image consultant, relationship coach. I've heard people say Kevin Samuels has been divorced. I don't know, once, twice, whatever. So why is he talking about dating and he's been divorced? So they don't want to listen to the divorce guy. Okay. That was the point of that one. You got a famous guy like Anton Daniels. He's been talking about relationships for years. I mean, he's been doing a lot of different things, business, all that good stuff. But then the people say, well, Anton haven't, I mean, I'm hearing people say this stuff. Anton haven't been in the dating world because he's been married 17, 18 plus years. So now a happily married man can't talk about dating. Okay. All right, so we done got the divorced man out the way, and now we've gotten Anton Daniels out the way. Okay. And for the sake of time, I may not go into too many names, but there's some single guys out there that talk about relationships. They say, well, how can we, and I've heard this too, why is these guys talking about relationships and you're single? You don't even have a healthy relationship. You're not even in a relationship. So why are you talking about it? So notice, and I'm going to add another one. It's another guy. I'm not going to say his name. I'm going to leave the names off for right this second. But it's another guy that they say, well, this guy, he shouldn't talk about relationships because he had a bad marriage and the guy said he did. He had a bad marriage and his wife, he left his family because of something he said he did wrong. Pretty much. The guy said he did wrong and he left his family. Famous guy that talks online. They say, well, your marriage didn't work and you didn't do this. You left your wife, and he's saying he doing it, this relationship stuff, because he learned from his mistakes. But people ain't hearing that neither. So we got the divorced guy that people don't want to listen to. We got the married guy that people don't want to listen to. We got the separated guy people don't want to. I mean, it's literally everybody. It's a knock against every person, regardless of their relationship status. So the question becomes, who is qualified to talk about dating if everybody there's a criticism on? Who's qualified? So I'll tell you this. When it comes to being qualified to talk about relationships, talk about dating, talk about marriage, I think the person that's qualified is the person that has done the due diligence to research, the person that have sought to understand the dynamics of dating, understand the statistics, what is happening in the dating world, the person that have gotten experience to some degree, have some experiences, but primarily the person that is objective with the information that they have and able to articulate it correctly. I say that because of this. You can have an experience in a bad relationship, but not let that taint your understanding and judgment when it comes to discussing relationships. You can be in a bad marriage, but have the correct tools, the objectivity needed to still speak on a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage. A lot of times people become disingenuous from this standpoint. They look at a person and say, well, they don't even realize that they're doing it, but they're trying to find a way out instead of listening to the information and receiving it. So what they do is they'll say, well, I'm not going to listen to you because, okay, so I think that information came because you was in a bad marriage. I think that information came because, where's that information from? You probably saying that because your childhood was bad. It's like people try to find angles and ways to discredit solid truth and information. They find ways to discredit it. And I've seen it happen. I feel like I've done my due diligence in making sure that I read, I listen, men and women. I have experiences also, and I keep my mind objective. As I try my best to keep my mind objective so that when I speak on something, I can speak from a clear place as opposed to speaking from a tainted place. And you know those people that are tainted when they say something and you can hear the anger in it. And this you have to be careful with. I got to say this, you have to be careful with this because sometimes a person can be talking with a tone or speaking with a tone, but the information is still truth. That's why I say this. Before you discredit something or start trying to find ways to negate what is being said, listen first to see if it's truth objectively. Listen in your heart and say, you know what, is that truth? And then ask the person why they say it. But this discrediting constantly, it really comes from a place of sensitivity, being emotional, and not being willing to receive it, not being willing to receive information. We can say what we want to say about Kevin Samuels, whether you agree with everything he said or how he said it. I know for certain things he said, and in the way he said it, I probably would not have said. Not that I'm not gonna hold people accountable, but I just know there's certain things I probably would not have said. That's just naturally me. But you cannot discredit the purpose. And I'm big on the purpose and the intentions of a person's message. That's big to me. The purpose of what you're saying. And then on top of that, I like to get a full understanding of what you're saying to it before I make a judgment call on what's being said. For example, I can hear a clip of someone saying something. If I'm unsure about the clip, I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna do my due diligence and I'm gonna go listen to that whole thing. Because it's possible that that clip can be taken out of context. This happens a whole lot. Or if I speak on the clip, I'll say, this clip was saying, based on what was saying in this clip, I don't agree with this point. Now, I didn't hear the whole thing, I didn't hear it. But from what I've heard, this is what I'm saying. And that way, it gives me leeway because if you didn't hear the whole thing, it's not even wise enough. It's not even wise, excuse me, to just make a point or just come after it and attack it without really understanding it. So a lot of times I like to say things in a certain way. I try to be very careful in how I say something when I've only heard a little clip of something. That way, if the whole thing comes out, I can adjust what is being said. I can adjust what I said and how I said it based on that. But it's really disingenuous when people start trying to figure out who qualifies or who don't qualify for talking about data. It's really the person that's objective, who has somewhat experience to a degree, because you can have the experience that don't mean that you are qualified to speak on it because you may not even know what you're talking about. Or you may come from a tainted place because you have the experience. Because we do know experiences can cause you to have a tainted perspective. I'm sure many people have met other people that have been married, and because their marriage didn't go well, they automatically out here saying, man, I wouldn't, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't trust not one woman that walked this earth. I never trust a woman. Why? Because, man, my woman cheated on me. Or they'll say, well, a woman will say, you can't trust, these men are no good. These men, you can't trust them. They always being sneaky. No, maybe your situation was your man was being sneaky, but you cannot base the masses of men off of your guy being sneaky. You can't. You just can't. And you can tell when people have these perspectives because they come out so aggressive with certain things. And it's like, huh? But even when I hear these things, you know what I do? I say, why you say that? I like to get an understanding of why a person is saying something before I even say where you coming from a tainted place. But I listen first. Okay, okay, you seem passionate about that. Is there a reason why you passionate about that? And usually they may say, because I experienced this, and I say, okay, I understand that. Or they may say, I'm just passionate about it because I'm just passionate. I've seen it from my parents, or I've seen a cousin that did it. I've seen a friend. So it really varies, but a person that's qualified to speak on dating is someone that's objective, have done their due diligence to look to research credible sources. I got to throw that out there. Research credible sources who've done the research in terms of listening to women, listening to men, reading, just studying and getting more knowledge of what's going on, and not just getting all your knowledge from one place, but hearing different perspectives, because that helps. I like to listen to men podcasts. I like to listen to podcasts with men and women. And I like to listen to a podcast with just women. Even if I disagree with everything said, sometimes I'll listen to it just to hear where they coming from. And that can also give me more knowledge on how to address and deal with certain issues that I may have to deal with. I have to hear things. You got to know, and a lot of people don't do that. So it's important that when it comes to the person that's qualified on dating, just see if the information is true. See if the information is true. Don't come from a emotional standpoint and like, oh, this guy just he hate women, and or this woman she's just no. Hear them first, because I realize with a lot of people they only want to hear what satisfies what they want. Some people only want to hear what they want to hear. If it's not in agreement with their emotions, they don't want the information. And just because your emotions may not agree with it, just because you may want the information to be false, it's not going to make it false. Some things we just can't change about the natures of men and the natures of women. So there's no need to try to tell men what they should want, and there's no need for men to try to tell women what they should want. Nah, don't do that. Just get with the picture. And if that woman ain't for you, she not for you. If that man ain't for you, he's not for you. But don't try to make men. I'm gonna just be honest. I know some of you might not like it, but I'm gonna just be honest. I've seen a lot of women do it more so. They try to force men to want a certain thing. We can't stop men from being attracted to what they're attracted to. And we talking about the masses. We know it's outliers, but some men generally, when we talking about the masses, the average man generally wants a certain thing, and we can't stop him from wanting it. You got to get with the picture, and vice versa. We got to understand what's going on here, because you're going to hurt yourself trying to change things that you can't change. I can't change the fact that women want a certain type of man. If I was 400 pounds and the studies show that women generally want a man that's fit, I can't get upset because women don't want me and I'm 400 pounds. It's just a reality. Now, there may be a woman out there that's an outlier that may like me for who I am and want me because I'm 400 pounds. But the reality is, I can't change them from wanting what they want. And it's the same thing. Women, you can't change the fact that men want women that are attractive, women that are feminine, women that are nurturing, women that are not masculine. The average man wants that. The average man looks at attractiveness through youth. A little young. I ain't saying nothing that's, I ain't saying that now. But like a woman that's underage, but men generally like women that are of a younger age. Generally, women that are in their 20s. Studies show that. I can't do anything about what the average man wants. Studies want. I can't. And you may find, like I say, some women may find a man that think differently and may not just succumb to everything that the average man wants. But we can't change what man value and what women value. We can't change that. We just have to go along with it or either be single, but it is what it is. It is what it is. There's so much more things I can get into in this video, but I'm gonna cut it here and I'll make another video about the other information that I wanted to bring. But it's Byron Talks. Like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Thanks for watching.